Welcome, race fans, back to SVR, and it's time for the final round of the S2 Championship. It has been a long road to this point, but we are at Monza in the beautiful late afternoon sunshine for a terrific prospect of 26 laps around the Temple of Speed. This is how things look in our team standings. It looks very much like Mega Racing have already secured the S2 title for the team's championship, with Alessi in second place, Brokaga in third, and Bergstein in fourth. Kimi's racing team finishing in fifth place, with Coach Dave and Jann Placht all having cleared the 100-point barrier for this season before the final round as well. In the Drivers' Championship, well, it's quite clear that V8 Eater is our champion, and in fact decided not to race because we had a spare seat going in his team in the S1 race. So he decided that after scoring a record 5 feature race wins on the trot, and following it up with 2 second places with 209 points, V8 Eater is the champion, ahead of Empire, who finishes his season on 179 points, leaving 2 of the championship leading team seats open for this race. Jose settling on that third position, with Run DMC and his amazing form recently, winning the last 2 feature races back to back, has 117 points and may be eyeing up that podium position. Liquid Gecko's in 5th, Jailhouse Chris is in 6th. They would love to finish on 3 digits if possible, as would AMAC in 7th. Nintendo might be a little far away for him potentially. It is possible, and he's in 8th place on 82 points, with Christo and Vice in 9th and in 10th positions, with John Pauly in 11th place, just 1 point ahead of Sir Grinch, who I'm sure will be thinking about possibly trying to get up into the top 10, despite starting with us just about on the halfway point of the race of the season, as did Hobbit and Irish Liquid, who have had 5 races apiece and have amalgamated 18 and 9 points respectively. Well, we are on trackside. We're ready to get underway for the race. I told you we had some gorgeous sunshine ready. The 969 of our Irish Liquid starting the race in 12th position, with DeLucas for Brokaga, looking like he's got a neon light on the front, such is the fantastic gloss metallic green stripe on the Brokaga car, for starting his final race of the season. DeLucas in P11, final race for the S2, that is, I must say. Nintendo starting for Bergstein in P10. And alongside him, we have, somewhat of obscured by our camera angle, but John P starting. I'm sure the game just wanted to make sure we got a really close-up look at the helmet for John P. Simucube is in P8 for the Jann Placht Interiors team, and number 27. And Liquid Gecko starts P7 in the Kimi's racing team Ferrari powered SF23 here. Jailhouse Chris starting in the 266 for Coach Dave in P6, with Focal for Team Mega, the number 18, starting in P5, the Stars and Stripes on his Halo. AMAC starting ahead of teammate here, and in 4th place, Sir Grinch. In 3rd place, the 236 for Brokaga. He could well be a fantastic one to watch here. Pumpkin King starting in 2nd place. Unfamiliar territory here, really, the SF23s for Pumpkin King, but he's going to give it a fantastic go. He's starting on the medium tyres, as is late season revelation Run DMC starting on those mediums. I did notice that Sir Grinch was starting on the softs. We'll just go back. We'll see the Ferrari powered, or at least Ferrari badged, SF23 of AMAC on the soft tyres. So the second row both on the soft tyres. We've got mediums for the rest of them. Liquid Gecko starting on those softs, and then the car at the very back of the grid, Irish Liquid. That could be the smart choice if there is any contretemps into the first few corners of this fully dangerous racetrack here at Monza, where we see you can just get a little glimpse at the old oval at the back of the parabolica there in the background. But this is the flat version of the circuit, the modern day version, but it has some amazing bear traps ready to end any driver's hopes of podiums or strong finishes by the end of this one. Run DMC versus Pumpkin King at the front, so Grinch and AMAC starting on the soft tyres just behind them. Let's get underway then for 26 laps to finish off our season here at Monza. Can't wait to see how this all is going to shake out. And it's dropped the clutch, and it's go, go, go. And immediately the drivers at the front of the grid just obviously struggling away on the medium tyres. So Grinch launching one, but the front row are hogging that inside run into the first corner. We've got a little bit of contact further back. I think we're going to negotiate our way around 3 wide at one point through the Red Filo chicane. De Lucas deposed down to the bottom positions in the grid, but actually quite safe and sound for the first corner. We've got to go through Curva Grande next and then head down towards Variante della Roggia. Pumpkin King trailing Run DMC as they run through the corner. A little bit of side-by-side action between AMAC and Focal. Focal and Liquid Gecko, I think that was. Jailhouse Chris storming forward here for his Coach Dave team in P7 on the medium tyres, no less. And the rest of the drivers making their way through fairly safely and within a few seconds each of one another. Pumpkin King has Sir Grinch right behind him. Pumpkin King will not be familiar with getting these SF23 medium tyres up to temperature. And here comes one of the worst corners for drivers binning it. It is Ascari corner. So far, so good from everybody as they run through. No one with any major problems. Liquid Gecko has a half-second penalty only, but that is very easily done through here. John P's in 10th, De Lucas up from the back in 11th. Nintendo has struggled away. I think that he was paying a penalty. So we have bookended Buckerstein drivers at the front and rear of the grid. But Sir Grinch is looking very, very racy here down the Rettifilo Tribune and in towards the Variante del Rettifilo. Sir Grinch launching a move there on the soft tyres, and that is beautiful and clean and through into second position on those soft tyres. Pumpkin King heavy with fuel on the medium tyres, having to negotiate his way around. Focal is playing defensive here at the moment in the Team Mega black and red he's got AMAC beside him. Focal has moved himself up ahead of AMAC and now is needing to defend through Curva Grande. The two Kimmy's drivers are next to one another. It's AMAC and Liquid Gecko. Liquid Gecko wearing that half-second penalty still, which he will wear all the way through and to the exit of Variante Ascari. And he may even add more to that. Monsieur Keefe in the black and gold. Beautiful colour scheme here of the Jamplacht interiors. In fact, he's got Hobbit's name and number on the side of the car, but it is Monsieur Keefe. Excuse me, no, Hobbit is his gamer, his alter ego. John P in P9, De Lucas in 10th, Irish Liquid and Nintendo still very much within range of one another. Oh, Sir Grinch has had a moment coming out of Ascari. What were we saying earlier on? It is this very, very treacherous corner here. Let's see what went wrong. We got quite a bit of the black and yellow curb there, and then we just asked too much, dipped one toe into the gravel, and there is damage on the Sir Grinch Bro Cargan. They've got to be so careful not to cross into the front of other drivers. He waited patiently and then ran out of patience, did Sir Grinch. Other drivers coming through, and there's actually several cars slow then on the way through. What happened there for De Lucas? Did he come unstuck? He had a yellow flag in ahead of him. Now the race control will say yellow flag, do not overtake, but the car in front, John P, did indeed overtake under yellows, it would seem, but you have to take this with a slight pinch of salt there as they scream by the start-finish straight to start lap 3. It's Run DMC with a healthy gap ahead of Pumpkin King, both on those medium tyres. Pumpkin King surviving that early onslaught from Sir Grinch, who then lost the car into the gravel on the exit of Ascari corner and damaged the front wing. I would fully expect to see Sir Grinch have to pit, because while you don't need fantastic front wing structural integrity to be utilized throughout here, it's not a high downforce circuit by any means. Unfortunately, damage to the front will often reduce your overall top speed, especially at the end of the two long straights, and that can really hurt your overall lap time. So the drivers will be feeling that very quickly and wondering, can this car carry on? Can I continue? And Sir Grinch has indeed pitted and put on the medium tyres. So he'll be looking to get that clear air a few moments here out of trouble and then try and undercut the drivers ahead. We've got some terrific racing. It's Irish Liquid versus DeLucas here. Looks like DeLucas ahead in P9, Irish Liquid in 10th and Nintendo in 11th place. Our drivers always fighting over every single position, whether there are lots of points available or hardly any. Here comes Irish Liquid with screaming down, little maybe use of the overtake button, possibly through Ascari corner he goes, and up to 9th place. Great overtake from him, but he will be wary that DeLucas now in the Bro Cargo will have the opportunity to use that overtake, to use the slipstream that he will get from behind. He'll be looking in his mirrors, making sure the bright white Nintendo is not about to launch an attack on him. We will see if there is going to be any action here. Lots of drivers heading through that Retifilo chicane down at the front of the circuit right now. Run DMC, though, leads ahead of Pumpkin King. Run DMC enjoying a terrific spell here in the championship. Focal is showing really well for Team Mega. Reserve seat here in the champions car. And that is a ton of pressure, big shoes to fill for Focal, and at the moment representing Team Mega incredibly well. It's AMAC in 4th and Jailhouse Chris moving up. Then he's just managed to get ahead of Liquid Gecko, it seems. So Jailhouse Chris, who did not start particularly high today, as managing to perform a really good first phase of the race. Liquid Gecko in P6 and Mush O'Keefe then hanging on the back. The top 7 drivers very much still within striking distance of one another. Then we have a gap of 3 or 4 seconds back to John P, and another gap of a similar degree to Irish Liquid Nintendo, DeLucas, and of course Sir Grinch with that early damage. I don't think it will be the only damage we see as the 2nd and 3rd place drivers run through the Parabolica. I think that that was a penalty being paid for from Pumpkin King, and of course he moves to one side very sportingly, but he loses momentum all the way down the back straight between Ascari and Curva Parabolica, and Focal straight into P2, and is very pleased, I'm sure, to get that opportunity. Focal is using quite a bit of overtake boost, usually a GT3 driver here, and he'll be enjoying the use of that push to pass button, but he's not necessarily used to managing it over the course of an entire race distance. Jailhouse Chris looking in his mirrors. Liquid Gecko just shaping, just making sure that Jailhouse Chris has seen him, but Chris focusing on his line through the Retifilo chicane and making a much better exit out of it. Medium tyres then it seems to be the way, but it's AMAC, the standout medium tyre runner, soft tyre runner in the top group here of fast drivers here in S2, as the driver in the background there just wiggling around, just trying to find that grip. It's not easy at all. I think that was probably Mish O'Keefe there for a moment. Excuse me. Passing underneath the forest end of the circuit, and our drivers in the Parco di Monza. So far, I think, really enjoying this trip out to Italy. We have been in Italy already this season at Lago Maggiore, of course, but this is the track that's got all those iconic moments of history, and just gives a special feeling here for our fabulous S2 Championship and all the Formula cars this racing weekend. It's personal best time for Focal as he clears that start-finish, or the start line. He's already cleared the finish line, as it were. They're slightly separated here on the main straightaway, and Pumpkin King just focusing on using that slipstream, getting their way through the difficult chicane here, of course made famous by many incidents, not least of course the 2021 World Championship with Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen landing on top. There is Sir Grinch, who's moved up to 10th position as Nintendo has already had to pit. I think he may have been in a little bit of trouble there. I think Nintendo has come on in, and there's DeLucas making full use of that off-track runoff area on the approach to the start-finish straight. Run DMC looking great at the lap 6 point of our 26 lap race. There is the glorious Buckstein Transport Service white and teal livery, and then the matte black and red of the number 18 Mega Racing team car. Looks like he's opened out a little gap that he didn't have on the previous lap, ahead of Pumpkin King. But I think Pumpkin King may have had to pay another penalty here. Let's have a look. No, he did lose a position then, out to AMAC on that lap, unfortunately for the Delesi squad. So Pumpkin King, usually pretty faultless in his GT3 car. He's used to racing around the tracks with Focal, and it's worth noting here that the drivers subbing in and reserving across from the GT3 division are going to reduce their practice time, and it will bear absolutely no relation to how the car is going to behave in the final round of their championship. They will be going to Road Atlanta for the final of their season, so he will have a very disruptive week with a long-haul transatlantic flight to make sure he can settle in at the trackside. Of course, the team's splitting personnel over to that part of the world in order to complete the final round of the championship with a real bang. Here is Liquid Gecko, and you can see Jailhouse Chris starting to feel a little bit hot under the collar, but Liquid Gecko goes very long on the brake zone, tags the back of Jailhouse Chris. Thankfully for both, I think they've avoided any damage and a swap of position. Looks like Jailhouse Chris had his foot on the brake at the time, was able to just rescue that one, but that could have been very, very different indeed between Liquid Gecko and Jailhouse Chris. So once bitten, twice shy, I would hope. Behind him, Michokiev still hanging on here to this group. Pumpkin King following AMAC now and rebuilding the speed, but look at this, another penalty for Pumpkin King. This is so out of character, but he is just pushing like crazy. Perhaps this is the unleashed Pumpkin King, free from the shackles of worrying about a championship, and he's just enjoying pushing the car and the track to the limit and beyond. Very Buzz Lightyear style here for Pumpkin King, but unfortunately he's gathering up penalties as he goes through nearly every lap. So far is lap 8 of the 26. Run DMC leads Focal and AMAC in picture with Pumpkin King right here. Let's see if we're going to see any change of position. Liquid Gecko has pitted very early doors off the soft tyres, so he was flattering to deceive ever so slightly by being so far up. It looks like he's got the elbows up hashtag on his dash area there on the car, which is, I think, a Canadian sporting reference, but certainly something that Soulshock has on his car. John P then promoted to 7th, Liquid Gecko down to 8th, Irish Liquid right there in P9, and Nintendo in 10th place. Looks like Sir Grinch has pitted. No, Sir Grinch has come unstuck again and has damaged the car for the second time, sadly. It's not easy being green. Back into the pit lane then for the second pit stop within 7 laps is Sir Grinch. Now, I wonder if the hard tyres are available to him here, and he can go to something completely different by way of strategy. He has changed compound already. This could very much be plan D for Sir Grinch and the Bro Cargo team. Let's see what tyres are selected. It's soft tyres. He's committing to a third pit stop already. There's no way he's getting a set of soft tyres home from this point in the race. Run DMC crosses the line to start his 9th lap, and it couldn't be going more straightforward for Run DMC here. He had someone breathing under his collar and the first couple of laps, and then he has found something. There's a cone been displaced, unfortunately. I've been chastised in the league in the week preceding the Nürburgring Grand Prix for paying far too much attention to scattered cones, so I shall just try to ignore that the best I can, but at least 2 cones have been displaced. There is Michokiev coming on through and entering into Curva Grande. Pumpkin King having dropped behind Jailhouse Chris now with those penalties. Let's see if he can regather himself and stop stealing meters or centimeters even off the track limits, and just try and rein it all in a little bit here. the 911 for the Porsche-powered Delesi, appropriately enough, as we will ride on board with him, as he's the closest driver to another, trying to get that sweet slipstream on the back of Jailhouse Chris Coach Dave car. There we go, much smoother through Ascari this time. No penalty that I can see on the car, yet full throttle through the penalty zone where you see those yellow chevrons, and he's looking both at his braking references, the apex, but also trying to keep one eye on the Coach Dave car in front in case he can spot any weaknesses. AMAC has gone in the pits finally then. Looks like 10 laps was what the soft tyres were predicted to get to. AMAC's soft tyres, only about 55-60% worn, but he's feeling like the medium tyre window is open to him, so why not get on a new set of boots while he's got some clear air. And he's got a great deal of clear air then as he comes out of the pit lane in P6. Looks like John P, who started on the medium tyres, moving forward with the misfortune of other drivers. Liquid Gecko on the fresher set of medium tyres. He's going to try now and undercut the cars that he was close to earlier on. You can see the tyre markings left on this baking hot asphalt from the fairly soft compound rubber that our SF23s and the Formula 1 cars all run here. Running through then Liquid Gecko ahead of Irish Liquid, who's just a little bit further back there, and that is danger zone for Liquid Gecko between the two Lesmo corners, just getting 4 wheels over the edge, and unfortunately this track will attack those drivers who push the limit too much. Let's have a look then at Pumpkin King and Mush O'Keefe. Pumpkin King avoiding penalties for 2 clear laps at least now, and starting to show his underlying pace as he looks for that slipstream. Let's join him on board, peering through the pitot and the halo on the car as we look down in towards. We barely ever look dead straight though out of a race car. Your eyes are always everywhere, especially in VR as well, and you stop seeing all of that furniture in front of your face and you just see around it. And the beauty of using VR, of course, is you can indeed incline your head to look around and look into the apexes. It's a purple sector 1 for Pumpkin King here on old medium tyres. He's really starting to get a rhythm going as he goes through that slightly more open and longer Lesmo 1 rather than the Lesmo 2, which is a little bit more of a right angle, short duration apex corner, and then firing through the just minor kink left of the Curva del Seraglio. Underneath the old track we go. Have a look at a satellite image of this great historic track if you can, and you'll see where the old oval used to run. And if you've got a Assetto Corsa Ultimate Edition, you can actually race the kind of figure 8 combined track with the road circuit and the oval in one, and it is absolutely eye-opening, especially in a vintage F1 car. Pumpkin King just losing a little bit of ground this time round. Round on this 11th lap, start of the 12th lap as we are right now, approaching that halfway distance. But Jailhouse Chris just finding a little thin vein of form. Personal best lap there, or 31.7. Run DMC has a lap an entire second faster than Jailhouse Chris, but Pumpkin King has a 31.7 as well. So the ultimate pace of both Chris and King are very, very similar, but Pumpkin King still using the toe slightly. I think it is helping him into that sector 1 purple sectors, but something's just fading away, possibly a little bit of dirty air, but he doesn't quite look close enough. But I think maybe he's just being a little bit more respectful of track limits now in this phase of the race. A 2.2 meters per second northeasterly wind faces the drivers, which is a beautiful headwind into Parabolica corner and possibly even into Ascari. That will invite the drivers to shorten those braking distances but into the Rettifilo chicane, it is a push in the rear, and that is going to be problematic for everybody, I'm sure. Now let's just go back. We'll see Nintendo following Irish Liquid right now. The green light above the driver's head indicating that they have more than 25% of their push-to-pass allowance available. A red light less than or equal to 25%, and a flashing light showing their rivals that they are utilising that push-to-pass. So far, though, the drivers at this point in the race just taking it very carefully. We've got a spinner. We have a spinner, unfortunately, and it was indeed, it was certainly one of, I think that might be Sir Grinch. I'm afraid to say that spin or accident number 3 here for Sir Grinch so far in the race, as he brakes heavily down, gets a large amount of that Cheeto. And it was all actually going pretty well, and then a dramatic traction oversteer moment, and unfortunately the tyres are completely shot then as he tries to get the power down, restarting in second gear, and still it wants to turn around on him. And I think it was the straw that broke the damage back there. That final little, no, it was the second spin that hurt the rear of the car, and Sir Grinch will be heading in for another pit stop, I believe. And that is very, very difficult for him and the Bro Cargo team. And he's certainly not guilty of an unsafe rejoin there when he's doing his absolute level best. He'll be trying to start the car in third, I think, soon, but he's got to shed all that dirt and dust off the tyres. It doesn't happen quite as quickly as it just appeared to on our screen. But this is what I was talking about earlier, how easily this Monza circuit will bite the drivers who get a little bit on the greedy side. I have to say, Sir Grinch looked like he was 2 wheels on the grass on the entry into Variante della Roggia that time as well. So fast, but a little bit chaotic is our Sir Grinch Bro Cargo driver. Certainly today here in Monza, as Run DMC will be very wary that things can go wrong at any moment. This is a circuit where the drivers, at least through Ascari, I anticipate, are holding their breath every single time, and then thanking the motor racing gods that they made it through alive each and every time. There is lap 14 starting for Run DMC. It is the halfway point of the race. Focal is doing a great job here. We've got another spinner, unfortunately, there, and they just disappeared off the racetrack. I wonder if Sir Grinch just decided that enough was enough, and there was nothing else he was willing to do about it. Let's have a look as we come through. Do we see anything, or have we actually lost Sir Grinch completely? Here we go. Full spin into the barriers, and then I think that was a bit of a well, the marshals cleared the car very quickly there, you can see, and possibly a black flag situation for him as he spins into the barrier. And yeah, that was the end of Sir Grinch's race, unfortunately. I think that was 4 spins, and he's been black flagged and told to perhaps pack up now, pack up early, and we'll see you out there next season. Here is Jailhouse Chris, and the drivers will try and take that first Cheeto as we run through the Rettifilo corner. Certainly in qualifying, and they may try to do the same thing as they go through. Let's have a look with the wheels here. We might see the driver Jailhouse Chris straddle that initial Cheeto here. No, not in race trim and when the tyres are beyond their best, but I think in qualifying and on fresh tyres, the drivers will try and straddle the first curb of those first 2 chicanes, and then gingerly just touch the second curb with the inside edge of their inside tyre, just to help the car around, but very, very cautiously, and never go into first gear in these SF23s. If the AN cars, the Red Bull Juniors, have a pretty useless first gear, it is a whole nother level when it comes to the SF23s and their turbo power here. You can see 200 kPa of pressure being utilised by the engines underneath the drivers. It's Pumpkin King in P4, and some more drivers just navigating Ascari. You could put a fixed camera on Ascari and see something new and interesting pretty much every lap, I think. Number 22, a very accomplished racing driver number there, number 22 in P8, Irish Liquid. Number 22 won the Formula 1 World Championship in 2 successive years. If you know your F1 fairly recent history, although it's probably getting on a little bit now. There is Nintendo just running a little on the wide side through Ascari, then being somewhat cautious on the way through. Teammate Run DMC though continues to lead the race. He is heading through to finish sector 3, and the drivers behind him are just coming between the two Lesmo corners. Focal on his medium tyres is starting to slow relative to Jailhouse Chris, who seems to have just found some terrific form. Another personal best lap, this time another 131.7, but slightly faster than last time. Jailhouse Chris really looking good in the sunshine at the moment. Certainly don't want to be accused of any cursing, so I will not make any predictions as to the drivers' finishing positions. But Run DMC ahead of Focal and Jailhouse Chris. What a refreshing look at this season this would be for the drivers. I'm just going to look into Jailhouse Chris here. He has yet, I believe, to make a podium in our season. He's scored highly in our 2 sprint race rounds, but he has not yet broken onto the podium here and tasted the champagne. So what a way to finish the season this would be for Jailhouse Chris. He's on the main strategy here, the medium to soft tyre strategy. The drivers will be starting to think about making that move onto the tyre pretty soon. So Run DMC winning the last 2 rounds in succession so far, and that also included a P2 in the sprint on round 11 for Run DMC. So he would quite enjoy the season being elongated at this point, I think, and be in a great position later on. The stars and stripes all over Focal helmet and halo here, and he is running in that P2, 14 mega in the champion seat, but starting to feel the pressure of Run DMC. Focal's last lap a 33.1, sorry, and Jailhouse Chris a 32.3. This is looking quite ominous now, and the Jaws music will be certainly in Focal's mind, if not on over the team radio. Pumpkin King reeling them in as well. Run DMC has pitted then, the end of lap 16. I wonder if this is what the drivers will elect to do now. Jailhouse Chris, box opposite was the instruction from the team. Do the opposite of the car in front of you. Try and make sure that you've got something here to compete with. There is Run DMC and Jailhouse Chris in the pits. AMAC comes out of the Parabolica. He was on the soft tyres earlier on, so he is running those mediums to a finish. Looks like Jailhouse Chris and Run DMC are going to get out of the pits ahead of Liquid Gecko at very least. Here is Jailhouse Chris. He can see AMAC in front. He is his main rival right now, but I think the outright pace will show as a big difference once Jailhouse Chris gets those soft tyres up to temperature, and they'll only go through Curva Grande, I think, and they'll be right there for him and starting to even overheat on the way through the Lesmos. Such is the scorching hot afternoon we have here at Monza. The crowd would dearly love, I think, a red car to finish on the podium. So, of course, they'll be waving their Ferrari flags in support of Jailhouse Chris rather than AMAC, who has the Ferrari badge on the car. But if you're going to paint your car any colour, it's absolutely fine as long as it's red in Parco di Monza. There is Run DMC behind Pumpkin King and Focal for the first time now. Now, unless they pit on this lap, he will not be able to have led every single lap. Let's see what happens with Focal. I think he will probably head towards the pit lane because he was looking a little bit slower than Jailhouse Chris. In we go then, and Pumpkin King staying out for a very short stint at the end of the race. It's lap 18 beginning now, so he will lead a lap at very least, with Run DMC not far behind him, certainly within a pit stop distance. So Run DMC still very much still your net leader at this stage, the number 26 28, excuse me. Webbo's eyesight not the best as AMAC heads down towards the Rettifilo chicane as well. And he will try and hold on here for as long as possible. But you've got to fancy that Jailhouse Chris will be in a better position. But Focal has performed quite the miracle there, as far as I'm concerned. Focal has come out of the pits on the new soft tyres ahead of Jailhouse Chris, and they were pretty close going in. So very little to separate the two drivers on that in-lap process. There you see on the new soft tyres, just straddling that Cheeto curb, and Jailhouse Chris getting stuck in the dirty air and just looking more ragged here. Here is Jailhouse Chris. Let's ride on board with him, although unfortunately for him, he's got a half-second penalty on the way through, so he has to be careful through the next corner. He doesn't want to lose any more than is absolutely necessary here, because the laps are going to start running out on Jailhouse Chris to try and overhaul this championship winning car that's in front of him. Of course, all our cars are actually created equal, but as Murray Walker used to say, some are more equal than others. As Jailhouse Chris powers down the back straight, Pumpkin King heads in towards the pit lane, and these drivers will be hoping to at least stay ahead of Pumpkin King here. Again, Jailhouse Chris on the soft tyres needs to settle down, not get too excited about the prospect of finishing this race on the podium ahead of Focal potentially. There goes Pumpkin King out of the pit lane, far enough behind Jailhouse Chris, I think, for him to start relaxing slightly. Both these drivers, Jailhouse Chris and Focal, possibly even Pumpkin King, will be eyeing up AMAC's current second place, but the longer it takes them to catch AMAC, the better a position the Kimmy's Racing Team driver is going to be in with that tyre wear. You can see Focal with the red light flashing above his helmet. That means he is low on the push-to-pass allowance, much lower than AMAC, and here he is within striking distance. But what is AMAC able to do with that much greater degree of battery power remaining under his right thumb there? I'm assuming he's keyed one of his right hand to use for the overtake. Here comes Focal. He's going to push that push to pass button, and he is going to make the pass, and he goes around the outside underneath the old circuit. It's too little too late, I think, for AMAC to fight back. He's better placed here, waiting for the run out of Parabolica, I think, when the cars exit at a greater speed with the slipstream to try and regain that position. Focal right down to about, I would say, 8% left, and he's using it to extend his gap to AMAC. AMAC not necessarily thinking about fighting with Focal here. I think he's thinking about hanging on to a podium against Jailhouse Chris. Will we use the overtake? Absolutely we will, but Jailhouse Chris is right there with him and tucked up in underneath the diffuser. Jailhouse Chris has plenty of boost remaining to him as well. Here we go then for Jailhouse Chris in the Coach Dave Delta. These overtakes take a fabulous long time to actually action on the inside line on the way into the Rettifilo chicane. Looks like AMAC got a little bit of a squeeze, possibly, or didn't leave enough space. Let's have a look. He's trying to run parallel here, but of course the racing line takes Jailhouse Chris, and I think AMAC will probably be able to see on replay that essentially he was so cautious going through that corner that he allowed Focal to gain the advantage on the way into the next hairpin, into the next left-hander, I should say. Now he's fighting to hold on to this position as he takes the outside run in towards the Della Roggio, and again slightly missed timing going through. Pumpkin King moves forward. The crowd cheer Forza for D'Alessi, because whether they may not be Italian, they at least sound it. And Jailhouse Chris is in that P3, and of course he's got a good amount of boost profit against Focal, but we are in for a show-stopping last 6 laps here in the fight over the final podium positions. I think Run DMC has this one very much under control at the moment and doesn't have to push right now at this stage. But Jailhouse Chris, he knows from the recent history here on this track that in the late part of a stint he can close in on Focal. Unfortunately, the later he leaves it, the worse state his tyres will be in, and the more likely Focal will be to have a traction advantage coming out of the slower corners when they may be side by side. So it's Pumpkin King just behind Jailhouse Chris, just behind Focal. as we power down for the final 5 laps of the S2 Championship. It's been 13 rounds spread over 26 weeks, and it comes down here to a fantastic sub 3 second battle for the podium, which is absolutely what we want to see. Pumpkin King guest driving against Jailhouse Chris here, who is in his permanent seat. There's another purple sector for Pumpkin King. That indicates to me that he's low on downforce, if not near zero on downforce, and possibly also by way of explanation as to why he seemed so alive and difficult to stay within track limits earlier on, because the car will understeer, it will oversteer, it will do all sorts of steering, but in a straight line it will be absolutely glorious. There's another blue sector. That means personal best for Jailhouse Chris as he comes through, and he's dialing up the speed now, as he did in the previous stint, and looking a little glance in the mirrors there. How far back is Pumpkin King? Well, we've gapped him slightly on this lap, and the three-way battle continues, but time is ticking by here. Jailhouse Chris very, very wide. Oh, Chris, it's gone wrong. It's a snap of oversteer mid-corner. He was brave. He tried to hang on to this one, but as he started to go wide, he's hit the marbles, and boom, it's fully around. Tank Sapper front wing is history, and so unfortunately it looks like is the bid for the podium. Back onto the racetrack we go, and he may start to feel like that is one of the biggest opportunities missed for Jailhouse Chris. It was going for his very first podium of the season, and I don't want to make it sound any worse than it already is for him, but I'm heartbroken for Jailhouse Chris. Run DMC then, for a moment, had an unpressurized run to second place, but Pumpkin King right with him. So with 3 cars down to 2 for this second position battle. Pumpkin King with another purple sector, then a little slide on the way into the Della Roggia left-hander, and there's a slide happening in the background. That's Amac in P4. He'll be surprised to find himself back in P4. Jailhouse Chris lost a position then to Liquid Gecko. He's out in 6th place. He put new soft tyres on, he's repaired the car, but I'm afraid it is not going to be possible to make up that pit stop difference with just 4 flying laps left to run. It is Pumpkin King though, with a good amount of boost here, using it down the back straight. He'll be certainly thinking that what happened to Jailhouse Chris could happen to him. He cuts inside, slightly tighter line into the corner to try and offset the understeer that will plague him coming through Parabolica, but that was so well timed from Pumpkin King, and he breezes by Focal, who is a sitting duck without any of his boost remaining, and down they go into turn 1. Pumpkin King has got himself, it's been a long journey, but he's got himself back to where he started this race, back into second position, and Focal in that P3, and he'll have to do an absolute miracle here to try and catch Pumpkin King, but he can try and put him under pressure and see what happens as a result. Pumpkin King flies over the Cheeto curb on the way into the Della Roggia chicane, through into the Lesmo 1 corner. We really need an extra name for a corner here. We're not exactly spoilt for corners, and you can just see Focal adjusting the steering on the midpoint of the second Lesmo, which is not a comfortable place to be suffering that kind of situation. It's going to be, I think, a good day for Kimmy's 4th and 5th on the option strategy. Plan B here for most of the teams was to start on the softs and finish on the mediums. Jailhouse Chris is in 6th, Simucube in 7th place, as he has been for the vast majority of this race, just kind of in no man's land a little bit. But John P is not far away from him and has been putting in some great laps to put himself P8 at the moment. Irish Liquid from the very back of the grid in P9 now, and Nintendo in that 10th place at the back. We've lost another car, unfortunately, so we have had a couple of losses, a couple of DNFs in this S1 championship, S2 championship, excuse me, finale, as Run DMC comes through, and he's just ticking off the final kilometers now. Run DMC is an American driver, so he'll be thinking about it in terms of miles, as I do as a Brit, and Jailhouse Chris does as well. It looks like it's quite a dominant Anglo style finishing order for the grid here today. It's the vast majority of the S2 grid are racing out of the USA, with just the one Brit left in the field as well. So we are usually a much more worldwide championship here at SVR. It's just a strange occurrence to have had such a lack of diversity in the drivers. I don't think many of them are thinking about that though at the moment. They're just thinking about apex, braking point, throttle, apex, braking point, throttle. What are my tyres doing? Can I get to the end? Are things going to hang on here? And how much lap time can I reserve? We're going to ride with Run DMC though, because I think he might be having a bid here for the fastest lap once again. A 1:28.6 is the fastest lap, which he managed on lap 20. It says stay calm on his dash. I love that. I really need to add something like that onto my dashboard, I think. But stay calm is written there, and that is front and center, front of his mind, and front of his view there on the car. Hopefully he is still paying attention to it. I wonder if drivers have to change that message from time to time to make sure they keep reading it. But stay calm, it says. That is terrific advice for Run DMC into Lesmo 2. And we will get an update of the lap time as we go towards the Ascari braking point. It's very late into the braking area into Ascari, that update, and it's so much so that you can't really pay it the due amount of attention that you would like to, because you're focusing so much on getting through and surviving Ascari. Then you can look up at your sector time and he'll see that he's a second slower than he has been before, but he's got that 25% still remaining on the overtake, and he'll be I think trying to maximize this final run. But of course you can destroy your race by pushing a little bit too fast and changing your pace significantly mid-race. Let's hope that isn't going to be the case, as Pumpkin King is in second, Focal is in third, AMAC running fourth place, Liquid Gecko in fifth, with Jailhouse Chris trying to bring home good points for Coach Dave. Mushokif and John P are very close now. John P is reeling in Mushokif here in the final lap of the race. There is Irish Liquid fighting with Nintendo over 10th position. Irish Liquid trying to hold on, but Nintendo really wants that place. He hasn't got as much boost remaining to him as Irish Liquid has. Here is the final lap then for Run DMC. I didn't get his sector time in time, unfortunately, to see whether this is going to be the one, the fastest. 1:28.6 is the time to beat. It's his own time to beat, as he can see his teammate ahead. He won't be lapped, his teammate, unless they spin through Ascari on this final trip. Well, this penultimate trip for them. But Run DMC comes through, and I've missed his time. Sorry folks. Let's try and do a little bit better though, as the drivers in front of him on the track at the very back of the grid in the order run into Parabolica. They will get another trip through here, but Run DMC will be following them through, and Run DMC, having survived the exit out of Ascari and out of Parabolica on the final lap, it is winning at a canter for Run DMC. What a glorious finish for Buckstein Transport Service and for Run DMC to the championship. Tremendous performance from him. And Pumpkin King, reserve driving here in a Formula car. He's much more used to the tin tops, and he gets himself a second position on the podium there for him. And Focal also bringing home the bacon for Team Mega, and he's pretty happy about it, I do believe. AMAC on the different strategy for himself and Liquid Gecko are going to finish in fourth and fifth for amazing points then for Kimi's racing team overall. Here we go across the line to finish it all out, and we will follow then. We'll see Jailhouse Chris crosses the line. I think he's going to be really upset with himself, but still good points for Coach Dave. Mushoki versus John P. It's going right to the wire here, and it's going to be Mushoki ahead of John P, I do believe. Let's run through and see what happens. But Mushakif in P7, John P in P8 in the end, and Irish Liquid looking like he has held on comfortably ahead of Nintendo there as we get towards the finish of the race. So John P 8th, Irish Liquid looking like 9th position as he gets the power down going through Parabolica corner. That seals it for me. Irish Liquid 9th, Nintendo 10th, but your winner, Run DMC, ahead of Pumpkin King and Focal. We'll have a quick look at the race results then from the race that we've just watched, just to see if we've got any post-race issues. Looks like no reports, no penalties overall there. So we'll go back then to the overall standings for S2 and see how things finished out in the season. So it looks like these are the final finishing order of our drivers. We've got V8 Eater finishing in that champions position, then ahead of Empire. Run DMC, triple wins. What a way to finish the season. Finishes in 3rd place ahead of Jose Luis Cervantes in the end, and that is a great thing for the Bergstein Racing team overall. And just to scroll through the rest of the finishing standings for you, and you can see how things ended up then. Tremendous season is now complete here at the Simracing VR World Championship for the S2 division. We have 2 more races to go in chronological order through this Sunday coming on this channel. You'll see the G1 and G2 races, and we'll also have the AN division race to be published shortly as well. But for now, from me, Webbo, from everyone here at the SVR S2 Championship, thank you so much for being loyal and pressing all the right buttons under the video every single week. And we are really grateful to have spent this season with you. Thank you for watching. We will catch you on the next race day.